So, Kate, what do you think? Talent, can it be taught, or is it something that you just inherently have when you're born?
We've talked about this a couple of times, I think. It was about Paul Sills, who his mother was Viola Spolin, right? And Paul Sills was one of the founders of the Second City and Compass Theater. And he really kind of launched the careers of Mike Nichols and Elaine May, if you're familiar with those guys, right? Mike Nichols, famous director and what have you. And Mike Nichols often talked about working with Paul Sills. And he said early on, like, Paul's mom was this landmark educator, and she created this training for kids that he brought to university when he went to school, and at the University of Chicago in the late 50s or so. And it was all these, theater games for children to stoke their creativity. So he brought, and it became improv, as we know it. And he kept telling Mike Nichols, no, keep going, just keep going. And Mike Nichols goes, I don't think I can act. He goes, he had been doing it for 2 years, and everyone came running and I have a character. Oh my God, I have a character. And there's a cute little anecdote that he had talked about in one of his, I think it was either for HBO or PBS, one of these, toward the end of his life, and he was talking about working with Paul Sills, and Paul Sills was saying, gosh, it's so cool. And having worked with Paul Sills myself, he felt everyone had talent. And I kind of do too. I actually do. I think everyone has talent. It just depends on, are we putting you on the right thing? Is this the right genre for you where you'll flourish? And it has to do with your interest. It has to do with, what are you into? What are you passionate about? What do you like, and what interests you? And sometimes the more you expose yourself to it, you will get better, you're bound to get better. And certainly there are techniques that can accelerate that, and that's the stuff where I have to go, gosh, I'm not sure if talent can be taught, but I think you can give it a shot. I think you can give it a go, but you have to give it a go far more than you think it takes a lot more attention than you might think it needs. It's like, well, if I didn't get in the first couple of, well, do I have any talent? It's like, I haven't done anything yet. It's hard to, how can you test it? It's untested at the moment, and so that exposure to it. And I loved how Paul Sills kept pushing Mike Nichols, keep going. It was 2 years in, and he was like, oh my God, I don't know. Because I'm having a ball and I really have the hots for this girl, but I'm not sure if I'm doing any good, and suddenly he had a character. He goes, oh my gosh, I have a character. And this was his Nebbish. He did this a darling Nebbish that, Elaine May would play off of, and she would play his mother. You're breaking a mother's heart, and it's like, and she made him an astronaut and all this kind of jazz. And hello, mother. Well, it's not we're at the countdown. You can't be calling me now, and this kind of thing. But it was something that turned out to be fantastic. But he really understood character and he understood story. Mike Nichols did, and had he not had that exposure to it, he never would have gotten to his niche, which was directing and producing, So it may not be, acting per se, but he understands it and he loved actors. So he kept going. And so can talent be taught? I'm not sure. But I do like the idea that if you expose yourself enough to the art form, you're going to get better. You're bound to get better, And are you the best? I don't know. It's relative, right? So, in what context? As long as you're in the correct context, I think that's half the battle. So it's the old Einstein adage, and of course I'll probably paraphrase this horribly, but you can't judge a fish by how well it can climb a tree or something like that. Right? You've heard that adage? No.
No.
Never. Okay, well, see what I mean? I paraphrased horribly. I told you I was going to do that's my out. But yeah, so, again, you might be really great at characters and that sort of thing, and everybody wants natural stuff from you. You're thinking, I don't want to do natural stuff. I always equate it to, Patsy Cline. Patsy Cline hated half the songs that were her greatest hits. And her manager goes, come on, just do this song for me. You're perfect for this. She's going, I hate that song. It's kind of dumb. Isn't it depressing? I hate that. And she did it, and she's going, 2 takes. I don't want to do more than that. I'm not crazy about this song. And then she liked them over time, but thank God she had a manager who understood what her greatest assets were and what her niche was, and put her on the correct material, and that she listened to him just enough that she ended up with a body of work, that we know her name and we know who Patsy Cline was, So does talent always know what's best for them? Usually not. I think talent probably half the time, maybe they might know what they're good at or what their long suit might be, but it takes a not necessarily a village, but it does take a handful of people that really get the industry and understand you and where you belong.